And this is our slide deck for 1.5 for HRS certification for level 1 for Teresa Bunker Elementary from our HRS leadership team.
Okay, so 1.5 focused on teachers and staff having formal ways to provide input regarding the optimal functioning of the school. So this is our data. Our data from 2021 to 22 school year. Our survey results put us at a 1.9. And if you click right here, it'll kind of upload those survey results and what questions were asked and whatnot. And then after going through and putting together our slide decks, we showed 1.5 to our staff and showed them a follow-up survey. And asked them just this question: do teachers and staff have a formal way to provide input regarding the optimal functioning of our schools? And our score actually increased by quite a bit, up to a 3.8. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact of implementing a bunch of surveys into the school year. So not just, having somebody in charge and taking over and say, we're going to do this, this, and this, but offering surveys to teachers and asking, would you like to do this? And then this would be the result of it. So just having that option for teachers to have a input or staff to have a direct input when changes are being made, I think really kind of increased and made that jump.
I want to piggyback on that. I think that because teachers were involved in that, just the simple thing of having a survey or asking them before something was put upon them, you'll see the participation went up from 21 respondents in the spring of the last school year to 35 respondents during
with the
this
same
school
size
year
staff.
with the same
Mhm.
size staff. Many of the same people, a few new ones scattered in, but people are participating, and I think that in itself is an indicator that they're involved and that they, have a way to provide input. Important to see that in the data.
Absolutely.
Okay, so because of our original survey results, we declared 1.5 as an area of weakness, and we have procedures to follow and opportunities for teachers to input the decision-making process. So as a leadership team, we have decided to improve upon 1.5. We have created an action plan in order to allow for more opportunities for staff involvement and increased transparency in the decision-making process. So on this slide, these were the lagging indicators that were in place at the time of the original survey. So we had teams in place that involved, that allowed for teachers to kind of have that direct input. We had our leadership team and our HRS team in place. We had a PBIS team. We also had weekly faculty meetings where staff is there and able to provide input. And we had our trimester building level input sessions, and we also had our PLC teams in place. So these following slides will kind of show that data to back up that those lagging indicators were in fact in place at the time of the survey, of the original survey. So our first area of evidence is our leadership and HRS team. This is our agenda and folders for the team at the time of 2021-2022 school year. So where these are saved and how the agenda has currently changed. But that was one area that teachers are able to provide input. And then we had our PBIS team, which is another area for teachers to provide input. We have their team agenda and what they are working on, what they were working on that year, and also their folder where all of their agendas are stored.
Then we have an example of a weekly staff meeting, faculty meeting agenda on the left, and then their folder where all their notes were stored at the time. Then we have, on the next slide, we have the trimester building level input sessions. These were the concern sessions at the time, and this is just an example of one of those. Just an email that went out to staff from the principal, just opening that up to staff for the morning and the afternoon session like we talked about previously. They can come whatever works for their schedule, morning or afternoon, and then we have some guidelines below that for those sessions.
And I think we've put, it's really like the instructions from this slide show the building level input sessions actually from this year, from 22-23, that we actually have implemented this year, but we really didn't have any evidence from last year of the building input level sessions They were called concern sessions last year as a contract item, and they changed this year. And we really didn't have any evidence of that from last year with a principal change this year. So we did put the evidence that was from this year of the building level input, just so we had a piece of evidence there. But it did look different last year than it does this year.
And then our PLC teams, again, we had that in place last year. There's examples of some PLC notes and agendas and where they were kept in that Bunker PLC folder. Again, that's been something that has carried over, but we're fine-tuning through this whole PLC process, and all of us using the same guiding process document, and then just reporting back and putting them in our shared Bunker folder for the principal to access, as well as her checking in and visits to the team meetings as far as meeting those short-term SMART goals and keeping us all kind of in the loop, you might say, literally with that that cycle diagram of the PLC process that we're using.
Okay, and then this is just our action plan now that we have put in place after seeing our original survey results. So because we decided to improve upon 1.5, we have either restructured or added these in this year. So we have our leadership teams that have been restructured with more defined roles. We had a leadership interest form that was sent out at the beginning to kind of gather interest from teachers as far as what team they would like to serve on and what they would be doing on those teams. We have our leadership team agendas. We have our building level input sessions along with a member sign up. So there are members from each one of the leadership teams that are now on the building level input sessions so that there are more people to be able to give feedback other than just a principal. Also, if teachers have a concern, they can go to one of our IFEA representatives and they have a meeting with our admin on a regular basis to kind of review some of those concerns brought forth by other teachers. We have our Bunker Shared Drive and our Bunker Friday Focus, which are both ways that have opened up communication across our school. And we have our staff surveys for input in decision-making process, which have kind of helped to make such a huge jump in our data from our beginning survey to our follow-up survey. And then we also have our staff surveys that from our HRS feedback. So as we completed each one of our slide decks, we showed the slide decks to the staff, and then we asked them a follow-up question as far as if they think that we have met expectations within each one of those levels. So the following slides will kind of go through and present the evidence that kind of go with each one of those action plans.
I really think that if you had to put in a nutshell what had enabled Bunker to fulfill this level 1 of HRS, it would be this action plan right here. On the first slide, you'll see that graphic that you've seen before with our newly structured Bunker leadership teams with their various focus areas. But then the next slide shows that indeed we did have an opportunity for input. We were able to respond to the principal's request for areas of interest, what we're interested in and helping out with around the school, and would we be willing to serve in one of those capacities. The next slide is the leadership team meeting agendas for the Bobcat team and the PBIS team, and these agendas are now being kept in our shared Bunker folder, so any staff member is able to go back through and see what items may have been discussed and where current business is at within the school, or where new topics are coming up in those various leadership team meetings.
And teachers are welcome to attend the meetings too,
Yes.
if they would like.
Yes.
Yeah. They'd like to just sit in and listen as well. Yes.
Good point. And then here are those building level input sessions that I think were really important. Like we've talked about with a couple of the other indicators, it's not a chance to come complain about something, but it's really a chance to have building level input regardless of what team you might be on or not be on. And so there's still those opportunities and guidelines or norms for how those meetings are to go. Here's a sign up. The next slide shows an input session sign up sheet.
So that's where each member from the HRS team, Bobcat team, and PBIS team were able to sign up so that they could attend those building level concern sessions. So that there's a panel of teachers, not just one person on the team.
Right, so just building leadership capacity within the building.
And then this next item is a contract item in our district as well, but we do have our teachers representative organization, and we're able to schedule at least monthly and sometimes even more frequently a touch-in meeting between the building administrators and the building representative. And so these are just in case there's something that has come up outside of the focus of any of those other focus groups, or maybe even it is inside that, but a teacher, for some reason is hesitant to bring something forward. She can always go to her union rep, and then anonymously the union rep can approach the administrator and just say a member has shared a concern that, or there's been a little bit of buzz that, and we're never ever pressured to give names or who's feeling that way, but just an opportunity for teacher leaders and administrators to work together to head off problems before they occur.
And I think it just builds relationships within the building as well. The more we can just have transparent conversations about things that might be coming up or concerns that might be coming up at the lowest level, and it gives us a chance to really visit about those things, and also just to kind of build that trust within our building among our staff so that it's consistent.
On the next slide, we have the shared drive, the bunker shared drive, where everything site related is stored and you can easily access it by any staff member. On the next slide, we have an example of our principal's Bunker Friday focus that she sends out weekly. And it has just any upcoming events that we have that week, any things like fire drills, meetings, everything is located in that one spot. So teachers find it very
try to
handy.
highlight in red if it's a fire drill, and just kind of draw attention to different kinds of things. But as far as optimal functioning, if everybody knows what's going on at the building, then it helps a lot. So this is just an effort to increase communication so everybody knows what everybody else is doing in the building.
And the next few slides are survey results. So these are just ways that teachers and staff were able to provide their input on things that were happening at the site, such as our potluck survey. And then on the next slide, we have our staff picture survey. Just different examples of way that we're able to provide our input. Instructional round survey, if they're willing to have people come, other teachers come into their classroom. They wanted to do that now or wait until next trimester, maybe next year. They could say that there. Then the next one is the intervention feedback. We were talking about at a site level how we wanted the intervention to happen. So the question was, do you support moving to a school-wide Title I team intervention at Bunker? And you can see those results there. And the next one is a staff survey for HRS feedback.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mentioned that slide
ahead.
before, just
Yes.
really quick. Sorry, Carly. I just from the principal standpoint, it's just there are a lot of surveys, and I've worried a little bit that I'm surveying staff to death. I don't think so, but like with this survey especially, sometimes it's just so important. There was a place for them to have feedback and let me know what they were thinking. And just on that survey, individual teachers really provided some really vital feedback, I think, that made me kind of rethink the whole title intervention and what that would look like, and helped me to kind of reframe how I needed to approach it. And so I just really felt like specifically this survey was really good information from our staff that helped me as the principal kind of know that I needed to reframe that and rethink that a little bit before I represented. So it really is helpful to help all of us grow and learn together.
And I think that's really valuable for the teachers as well, then knowing that their input is making an impact on the principal decision as well. So it's not like we're just doing these surveys and then it's going nowhere. It's actually being valid.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Carly. Sorry.
Then we have some examples of some staff surveys. So the HRS feedback survey, this is these weren't given after we presented these slide decks to the staff. So this one is just on 1.1, the faculty and staff perceive the school environment as safe and orderly. And then we have the results on the right-hand side. And so each of the next few slides is just about each of the, so 1.1, 1.3, and we gave these after providing or showing the slide decks that we had presented.
And I think the biggest thing that we've been pleased with, not just the results, but just the participation. It's worked very well to present what we're doing in a faculty meeting and invite all of our parapros classified staff that don't usually come to a faculty meeting. But when we would present these slide decks, we would make sure that we invited everybody from the building, from secretaries to custodial to our parapros, so that everybody in the building hopefully can see the changes as they're being made and can really invest in HRS at all the levels, but really see the changes that are happening for level 1. So I think we're pleased overall that with the survey piece that we're getting a lot of participation from our staff. And that concludes level 1.5.